The streets of Baltimore lie cloaked in a heavy fog, and a man stumbles through the gloom, his figure barely discernible in the dim light of a flickering gas lamp. This is Edgar Allan Poe, delirious and near death, a man whose words had once danced on the knife's edge of madness and genius. On that October night in 1849, as he muttered his final enigmatic phrases, it was as though the shadows he had so vividly conjured in his tales had finally consumed him. Poe's life began, as many tragedies do, with loss. Born in 1809 to itinerant actors, Edgar was only 2 years old when his father abandoned the family. The following year, his mother succumbed to tuberculosis, leaving him orphaned and vulnerable to the whims of fate. He was taken in by John and Frances Allen, a prosperous Richmond couple, but his new life was far from stable. Psychologists often speak of childhood attachment as a cornerstone of emotional resilience, and Poe's early experiences were a perfect storm of instability. The deaths of his parents, coupled with his fraught relationship with Allen, likely left him with deep-seated insecurities. Studies show that such formative wounds can lead to a heightened sensitivity to rejection and a tendency to seek solace in imaginative worlds. Poe's youth was marked by a series of contradictions. He excelled academically, displaying a precocious talent for language and literature, yet he was often at odds with authority. His time at the University of Virginia, funded inadequately by John Allen, descended into financial ruin. Unable to afford tuition, Poe turned to gambling and accrued debts that led to his withdrawal. This pattern of reaching for success only to be thwarted by circumstance or his own impulsive tendencies would haunt him throughout his life. After a brief and tumultuous stint in the military, Poe turned to writing in earnest. The 1830s saw him honing his craft, his stories beginning to ripple with the themes that would define his oeuvre: death, decay, madness, and the macabre beauty of the unknown. Yet this period was also marked by a relentless struggle for stability. Poe's finances were perpetually precarious, and his relationships with editors and patrons were often fraught. To understand the psychological forces at work in Poe's life and art, one must delve into his relationship with mortality. Death was a constant specter, stalking him from childhood through adulthood. Virginia's illness was particularly harrowing for Poe. Her slow decline mirrored the fragility of his own emotional state. In Poe's work, the motif of the lost beloved recurs with haunting regularity. From Annabel Lee to The Raven, his verses echo with a mourning that feels deeply personal, almost autobiographical. This perspective, steeped in Gothic romanticism, reveals a man grappling with the incomprehensibility of loss and his own fear of being forgotten. Yet Poe's fascination with death was not purely emotional, it was also intellectual. A keen observer of human nature, he was fascinated by the darker recesses of the mind. His tales often explore the psychology of obsession, guilt, and madness. Modern psychology offers several lenses through which to view Poe's mental state. Some scholars have suggested, in life, he straddled the line between genius and madness, success and despair. In death, he became a figure of legend, his name forever entwined with the mysteries he so hauntingly explored. The man who stumbled through the fog on that October night may have been lost, but his voice endures, whispering to us still from the darkened chambers of the human soul.